living for the moment, now we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. I want it, love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what to say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yes, what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like a chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. You know what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need. You'll find the keys, the keys.
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixers cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing the light, holding on for life. Holding on for life, feeding the high, chasing the night, chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get a few. Day to day you wanna stay out, you're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling alive, chasing the light, chasing the night, chasing the night.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the RCI_racing YouTube channel. And tonight, on this lovely Saturday evening, we have for you quite a different event from the usual. We've had the Germany Cup at the Nürburgring. Well, now we're here in Italy at Misano for the Ferrari versus Lamborghini Cup. I am Ryan Gill. I'm going to be the man behind the cameras here tonight, and alongside me providing commentary I have Jesse Lee.
Hello, Ryan. Hello, everybody out there on the RCI platforms. It's great to be here this evening, this afternoon, or this morning, depending on who you are and where you are around the world. And as Ryan alluded to, it's going to be a crazy sort of race. It's a versus affair, and as you can see, it's pouring buckets, Ryan.
Yeah, it definitely is. The elements have not been kind to our drivers here today, but we were supposed to have George Smith join us here today. Unfortunately, he won't be able to join us here today. So unfortunately, we can't have George here today. But we hope he's back as soon as possible. But joining me today in the commentary box in his place is Nick Setnick.
Hey guys, how's it going? Happy to be here. Stepping in for George, yeah, we'll be having a exciting race out here today in the rain. It's also a multi-class race, which will be interesting. As you'll see on your score stack there, there will be Pro, Pro-Am, and Am drivers separated by white, silver, and red, respectively. And in a multi-class race, it always adds a lot of dynamic to the race, a little bit more strategy from maybe the pro drivers, as there'll be more traffic on the road. Though what we have seen previously is that anyone who signs up for an RCI race, yes, they are separated into 3 classes, but everyone proves to be respectful drivers, and I expect to see a clean race regardless of the added layers of strategy that we'll see from having 3 classes racing on the track today.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, we've had to merge all the classes into one, and on one side, I think it's a shame that we couldn't run 3 different splits. But on the same side, it's always nice to have a split full of drivers. So yeah, we've got 3 classes running here: Pro, Pro-Am, and Am. But it's probably not going to take away from any of the action here tonight, especially considering the 2 cars we have on offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ryan, and I think this is the best scenario. I would have been campaigning for this either way. Folks, like they said, we have Pro, Pro-Am, and Am here. This was not the plan. This was something that came about sort of in the last 2 hours, that we were going to merge them and have a big grid. And I think that's just fantastic. That's exactly what I would want to watch. That's hopefully what you are interested in watching here. And now, not only is this, because I had written up a couple of things about this race, and it was always obviously Ferrari versus Lamborghini, but now the sort of temperature of the room has changed, and now it's Ferrari versus Lamborghini versus Pro-Am and Am. And I gotta say, Nick, I disagree with you wholeheartedly. I think this is going to be a slogfest out here, especially when they catch lap traffic, because eventually they will do, and it is going to be a mess in these mixed conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the weather conditions, as you can see, we have some rain on the track. Obviously, it's going to be a lower track temp as well, versus what maybe our drivers are more used to be practicing in. People like to practice in clean conditions, just work on their line, work on their lap times. So I think adding weather like this always adds that extra layer, that extra dimension to the race, where now that's another thing that they got to keep track of that might affect their brake pad choices. Obviously they're using wets out there, which is going to affect their grip levels. And now they have to deal with having 3 different classes of drivers out on the track as well. I mean, so we will see those battles in the middle, back, or even front of the pack, as we've seen previously. And now they have to possibly deal with even more traffic in the back. I will agree with you, it does turn it into a bit of a slugfest, but it makes for very exciting racing to watch, especially from the box over here.
Yeah, 100% on that one, Nick. It is going to be interesting in the mixed conditions. And folks, the weatherman has come by and he has assured us that it is going to stay light rain with little variability for the entirety of the race. So if you were hoping to be able to put your umbrella away, well, I'm sorry to tell you, that's too bad. It is going to do this for almost the entirety, if not the entirety of the duration of this event. So you might as well get comfortable in your, what do the British call them, wellies, Ryan?
Yes, they are wellies. We get the wellies on whenever the rain is out. And in fact, local to where I am at the moment, it has in fact been very, very rainy. But besides all that, yeah, it's going to be interesting out there. The Lamborghini, notoriously known to not be great in the wet. But looking at how practice is shaping up here at the moment, I think the skill of some of the drivers is rather outplaying the weather that we have at the moment. But it is a Ferrari that leads practice at the moment by just about a tenth and a half.
Yeah, and the real interesting thing about that to me, Simon out front in the 1.62 Ferrari, is that, well, obviously it is practice and it doesn't really amount to much, but I like speculation as much as the next guy. So it's a silver driver, you may notice. Silver has a silver placard. Pro has a white background, and Am has the red background. It's very interesting, really, if you think about it, to have a silver or a Pro-Am driver out there leading the field. And up until that point, it had been all Lamborghini. And still, if you look behind them, Nick, it's a Lamborghini 2 through 6, including the Ryan Meenen brothers. What do Ferrari have to do today to break through? I mean, clearly we have one up front, but there's a bit of a train of them in between the two.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, So me personally, I prefer the Ferrari, so I love seeing a Ferrari at the top there, as that's my car of choice between these two at least. But I do have to say, if you are Simon right now and you're setting a impressive lap, especially in a multi-class race like this, that's kind of painting a bit of a target on your back, because now the pro drivers know if they happen to see the 162 in front of them or behind them, Simon can keep pace up with the pro level drivers. And actually, a note for our viewers at home, the skill gap between pro and pro-am is actually quite small from what we've seen. What really separates a pro-am driver from a pro driver is really going to be consistency. That's going to be the big thing, is that when we see a pro class lineup, we know that these drivers are fast, they're clean, and they prove that they can put on a fun, safe race and get that those aggressive maneuvers in, but they're reliable in doing that, I guess. So maybe like a pro-am driver, maybe just that ever so slight hair of more aggressive or a little bit more loose going through something. But it is interesting to see that most of the pro drivers that are placing those fun, faster times there are all in Lamborghinis. So we'll see how that handles out in the rain today, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting, point to see how well the Lamborghinis do over the course of the race, as we just see Zeman go top of practice by 0.03 of a second. Just to quickly inform you guys, in 5 minutes' time, we will be moving over to qualifying. The practice server started with half an hour extra practice. Not entirely sure why it's done that, but we will be fast-forwarding that over to qualifying come 20 past the hour, so just under 5 minutes' time. But we wanted to get the stream started just to talk a bit about the event, because obviously these kind of events are something that we haven't usually been doing in terms of some of the previous races that we've casted on, so it's always nice to get a bit of talking in about all these events. But something I've actually noticed here, Jesse, whilst Nick was touching on the topic of pro drivers and pro-am drivers and the differences between them, is that Simon is the highest Ferrari, but he's not in the pro class.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like Nick said, I mean, the gulf is not that big between the two of them. It's split up based on relative pace, in case you guys were wondering at home. And like Nick alluded to earlier, the relative pace isn't that different. Who's to say that if the Pro Grid had one more slot available at the time of sign up, that Simon wouldn't have been in there, and he had been a pro driver, and he would have been the second fastest pro driver, but that wasn't in the cards. He is a silver driver, or Pro-Am, and he is, the second quickest, and not by much, mind you. Look how many zeros you have to get before you actually get to a number that matters in that deficit. And actually, too, Ryan, if you look, there's actually down to about 8th place, half a second. That's really not a whole lot of anything. And Patterson back in 9th place in the number 67 Ferrari actually broke up the point that I wrote down that I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about how it went from half a second to a full second for the next driver. Patterson can clearly read minds and decided to ruin that comment that I was going to make. The times are coming down, and that's really reassuring, because these drivers, they knew to expect rain, but when you're actually on the track in the server, that is a completely different scenario. And that's, I think, what we're seeing here a bit today, guys, is now the top 10 is now covered by less than 3/4 of a second, and that's brilliant. And it just takes, you got to get it. You got to get your. I mean, if you're playing football, you got to get your boots on, don't you? And you got to warm up. It's the same thing with these guys. This is sort of their dress rehearsal, and I don't know what to expect as the qualifying is imminent here. Nick Setnick, do you have any sort of predictions, or we'll call them way too early predictions, for what you expect to see in qualifying?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so we're going to have a short qualifying session. If my eyes don't fail me, I believe it's going to be a 10-minute qualify today. But that's going to be with all three classes on the track at the same time. Now, with a 10-minute qualify, that means that you're going to get solidly 2 laps that are going to be what you'd want to set as your pace lap, right? So that's going to be interesting to see the separation of the 3 classes and kind of see if there is a bit of a gap somewhere in there. But again, I'm not expecting much, and you'll kind of see them mixed up on the starting grid, which is something that we've also seen before, where maybe a AM driver just gets a really, really clean line, gets to start the race in the middle of the pack, and we kind of see how those different levels of drivers handles the first couple of laps. As anybody who's watched any racing knows, that is when a lot of exciting things happen, as little mistakes can cost you or even lead to incidents. So getting the classes mixed up in the first few laps is always going to be really interesting. And then you can also see that the pro level drivers, these are names that we would recognize more. Obviously we have the Ryan Meenan brothers, which is always a real treat to see from the comms box. 2 drivers, 2 brothers that really put down consistent times, and they always put on excellent battles for us to watch from the box and for the viewers at home. So it's always great to see them in the block. So I'm just at the throw it out to the Ryan Meenan brothers, because I think they just put on a really exciting race for the viewership.
Yeah, I think that they are pretty interesting to watch, and they kind of exploded onto the scene about a month or two ago, and they have been lighting it up as of late here at RCI, but there are another pair of brothers that aren't here tonight, but the Worst brothers, they have been giving them a run for the money, and that's been interesting. What you've just witnessed is the end of practice as Ryan told you it was going to happen in 5 minutes, and on the dot, there we go. Qualifying starts just like that. 10 minutes of qualifying to get going here. Ryan, tell me about your love for Lamborghinis.
Oh, well, I didn't know we were going to get into this topic so soon, but I guess we can cover it now if you like, Jesse. So yeah, it's no secret that I absolutely adore Lamborghinis. I adore Italian cars for the most part, not Maseratis personally. There's a bit of a story behind that, but we'll leave that for another day. Maybe when the GT4s are out we can go back to that story, but Lamborghinis, absolutely adore them. I used to live around an area that was, well, supercars were quite local around there, should we say. And Lamborghinis were always the one that caught the eye the most, and you know they were always the most exciting to see. So that's where a lot of my love of Lamborghinis and Ferraris as well. I do have a big soft spot for Ferraris and McLarens. So it's mainly where a lot of my soft spot has come from. But I will stand by one of the things that I have said for ages now, which is the Huracan is hands down one of the best sounding GT3s in the world. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely hands down. V10, massive V10 in the back end of this car, rear engine car. And of course, that makes it difficult to drive. And this thing is a monster to drive, even in the dry. It will try and, and unsettle you as often as it can. And it's one of the things that makes it kind of a joy to drive, when you can get it right, when you get the setup hooked up, 100%, and you can really start to enjoy the car and push it to its limit. This car will reward you if you can get it into that sweet spot. If you can't, it will punish you very, very harshly, as it has done to me quite a lot in the past.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Gill, live on the air, letting you guys know that he is going to be completely biased in this race, and that's just as well. I prefer Ferraris, so this is going to be an incredibly spirited battle. Folks, it's not quite as simple as Ferrari versus Lamborghini. It is a tale as old as time, or as old as touring sports cars have been a thing. Of course, old man Lamborghini, as I would call him, took exception to Enzo Ferrari, and the whole Ferrari line, and said that, well, I can do that better, and started a competing sports car division, and well, look what happened to them now. They are making fantastic cars. And the rivalry has never really went away. You can't really be both, can you? I mean, as you heard Ryan talk about being a Lamborghini fanboy and liking Ferrari at the same time, I honestly, I'm the exact opposite of that, Ryan. I enjoy a nice Ferrari. A Lamborghini's okay to look at, but it's not quite as special to drive. I hate to tell you that, and I just like the way the Ferrari sounds. Nick, do you have any input before Ryan and I go to blows?
Yes, so while I'm holding Ryan and Jesse back from each other, I will say, man, this is tough because I feel like my heart is somewhere in the middle between these two makes. The Ferrari being my preferred choice inside ACC, just because I am, well, to put it bluntly, I'm not the greatest driver, but I think the Ferrari is a little bit more forgiving to a AM-level driver such as myself, and that's why I prefer it. But I mean, when I first installed ACC, I will tell you this, the first car on the list that I jumped into with nothing set up, nothing going into it, I picked the Lambo because I mean, look at it. It's just an awesome looking car. So just I knew that I liked Lamborghinis, and it caught my eye right off the list. So that just goes to show how middle of the road I am between the two makes, because they're just both excellent cars, and and we'll see that in this rain as well. I know.
Dear. Ladies and gentlemen at home, Nick Setnick sitting on the fence. Nick, you should be careful sitting on that fence. You might fall down. Rizzo is on provisional pole at the moment with half of the time elapsed. His lap, a 1:39.510, is the quickest time. Harry Conway was previously the quickest, but was set down by Rizzo. That was a 1:39.7, so a little bit in it, a little more, Ryan, than we saw in practice, but they're not holding anything back now. This is the time, but you got to lay it all out on the line, don't you?
Yeah, this is this is qualifying, of course. So this is where you're going to take all the risks that you can. You know, maybe in the race you won't cut, you know, that one curb specifically a bit more than you do in qualifying. So yeah, this is where everything, you know, everyone puts the cards down on the table. We like to say it, well, you hear the commentators say it a lot in Formula 1, is that when it's practice, no one shows all the cards. Everyone is all a bit reserved, even on their qualifying runs. And it's the same here in GT or in LMP and everything, you know. No one shows their cards before they have to. But this is the time where you want to put everything down on the table. You want to show how quick you can go. And Rizzo, 1:39.5 at the moment, is the quickest lap currently. Billy Octane, though, is in one of the Miami Vice looking Lamborghinis, which I think looks absolutely stunning. He is currently half a second up on his lap. He's only 1.25 tenths behind Rizzo's personal best, so Billy Octane coming up towards doing a 1:38 at the moment, as he's onto the back straight at the moment.
Oh man, Billy Octane, love the name. You know, everybody knows Billy Octane, and if you don't know Billy Octane, what are you doing living under a rock? He's all over it. He's a great driver in his own right, and apparently he can make a darn good livery as well. I agree with Ryan on this. That's a lovely looking car. I didn't think Miami Vice, first of all, but now that you've said it, Ryan, I can't unsee it now, and that's just fantastic looking car. It's running really well. I mentioned earlier that the gulf between first and second was a little further out there than I would want it to be, but it has come all the way full circle, and as we are talking about Billy Octane, you just saw him go 2 tenths quicker. He's at a 1:39.375. Good enough for provisional pole. He's actually going to get another run at it, but Harry Conway in the 78 has decided to say, hold the phone. It is time to go at a 1:38.775. That is incredibly quick, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was watching that on our timetable over here, being up 8 tenths, even leaking into 9 tenths there a little bit at the end, to really just come screaming into pole position. And that's what we're going to expect from a 10-minute qualifying session. They're going to set one lap that is pretty safe, and then they're going to push it for that second one. And that's the push that we just saw from Conway. Going into pole position currently. Rizzo down in the 74 is actually up a little bit as well. And as you can see onto the timetable, they're still quite close to each other. I mean, a few tenths is enough to move you up a few positions. As we've moved over to Cap and the 321 Ferrari, this is a amazing livery. Look at this thing. This is I just looked back over to the screen, and there's so much dynamic to that. You know, we'll be seeing how that lines up in there. Actually, Cap with 2 seconds down in the pro split just goes back to proving my point here that class is not going to be a huge separation of time, so we'll have to see how he stacks up once he places that faster lap, as we might have time for at least one more here to move positions around, as we're jumping back over to Simon in the 162, who doesn't look to be up on his time just yet, but we'll be seeing how those times move around, Ryan.
Yeah, we will, and you know, you mentioned about having a clear lap and a clean lap is, you know, the key to being high up the field at the moment. I tell you what, someone who hasn't really had the chance for a clean lap is Cormac Ryan Meenan, Killian Raiminen's brother. Nick mentioned the Raiminen brothers earlier on today. Well, Cormac, he is way down in 22nd at the moment, so he's not doing too well. Killian up in 9th, but 1.1 seconds off the pole position time is not where Killian will want to be, and 2.5 seconds off pole position is definitely not where Cormac wants to be, so I'll have to see if either of those two can improve coming into the last minute now of qualifying. Of course, the timer about to expire, but we will have a couple of minutes left for people to finish their lap times, as it is Andreas Simon at the top at the moment with the 162 Pro-Am Ferrari for 138.7.
That is a absolutely screaming lap by a Pro-Am driver and a Ferrari. Can anybody do anything about it? David Chiesa might have a shot at it here. We were watching Andreas Simon earlier, and I didn't think it was real. He was up 1/2 second on his lap time. I thought the timing and scoring delta had frozen. It was not a trick. It was no smoke and mirrors. David Copperfield wasn't in the building. It was absolutely real, and he went screaming to the top, and we'll see here if the 222 of Chiesa can actually do something about it, and he does at a 138.5. That's an absolutely fantastic lap by the Lamborghini driver. Just a few drivers trying to improve their time coming across the line now, and I think that might be just about all. There are a few drivers again still out there. The number 32 car of Bichelle in the 9th place or so, in the 10th now, is actually a bit up on their time. I don't think it'll trouble the overall leaders, but it will be good enough to secure him and seed him further in the top 10. And for Billy Octane, who was up at the top of the pointy end for quite a long time, back to 6th place, well, that's just how Billy likes it. He will get up there the old-fashioned way as qualifying ends officially. That got really spirited there at the end, guys. A lot more competitive than I expected it to be based on what we saw in the first lap or two. And now they all got to cool down and go out there and race for an hour and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry about that. So, I mean, we were seeing really impressive times, and I think just the 10-minute qualifying window really makes for that exciting qualifying pace like that, so we're seeing times coming in at the last possible second where people are trying to squeeze out one more clean lap to get the few more tenths, and a few more tenths, as was seen and has always been seen here at RCI, is enough to move you up a few positions. The paces around here are so consistent and so close to each other that little improvements like that are enough to move you up the grid. But as we saw, Chiesa with the lap that he set was enough to secure pole position. We actually saw Chiesa locally, or at RCI a couple weeks ago, win another race. So we know that he can be a very impressive racer. And I think the competition at the top of this list is going to be stiff. But I will say it's going to be interesting to see what Simon does as he, in the 162 Ferrari, again in a sea of Lamborghinis up in the top 4 there, with Rizzo in the 5th position in the next Ferrari on the list there. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of Lamborghinis at the top, and I think that's going to make for a very exciting top of the pack racing, as the Lamborghini does like to get just a hair looser than the Ferrari does. And especially in the rain, I think that's going to lead to some very exciting racing to at least watch from the box, Ryan.
Yeah, for sure. And, we have 3 minutes until they get away for the formation lap before we start this 90-minute race to find out and answer the question, which car is best around Misano in rainy conditions? And we're going to find that out in, just about 95 minutes' time, I would imagine. But it's time for me to ask my favourite question of the stream to both Jesse and Nick. But I'm going to start with Jesse, because I always like to put Jesse on the spot. Jesse, who is your pick for the win tonight, or more specifically, who are you picking to curse tonight?
Well, Ryan, I'm going to ignore that last part, and you folks at home, I suggest you do the same, because I have not cursed a single driver in ACC. That is a fact. But I will say this, I was hoping for a little more standout from the Ferrari drivers today. Didn't quite get that so much, but I think my driver in the 162 Ferrari, Simon, I think he gets it done today. And if he doesn't, then we can clearly say that it wasn't a curse and it was just hap and circumstance. Nick?
Well, absolutely. I mean, so with Simon putting up those impressive times, I think he's going to provide some solid competition for our pro drivers. But I mean, I got to throw it back to Billy Octane. I mean, we've seen him climb up the timetables before, and I think he's going to do it again. Also, he's driving in the Lamborghini, so I like the rivalry between Billy Octane and Simon as they're driving the opposing cars today at Misano. So I think those votes will be contending for each other.
Oh dear. Well, I feel like we've left Ryan the red herring. Ryan, your pick for this win today.
Well, if I wasn't picking a Lamborghini, it wouldn't be my pick. But you know, I've seen Nick going in for the Billy Octane pick there, and I've seen Jesse going in for the Simon pick. The most natural choice for me, it's got to be Davide Chiesa. It has to be the man from Racing Line Motorsport, the 222 Lamborghini that lines up on pole. This man is incredibly consistent, by the way, and he's incredibly talented. Races, well, for Racing Line Motorsport, which, if you don't know, is a very successful team within ACC, managed by Stefano Canappi, who is one of the happiest Italians I have ever had the chance of meeting. So shout out to Stefano if he's watching tonight, or if he comes back and rewatches the stream. It's always great to talk to him, because he's such a happy guy. And I'm going for Davide Chiesa tonight, the 222 from Racing Line Motorsport. I think he's going to get the job done tonight. But as the countdown timer reaches 0 and all the wipers and the lights from the cars are on, they are getting ready to pull away from the grid for the start of the formation lap.
Yeah, they sure are, and this will be a very interesting, exciting lap. Get your eye in, get settled into your sim rig, get ready, because this is going to be an incredible race. You're going to be out there for 90 minutes, and folks, if you're following along at home with us this evening, this has a Pro, Pro-Am, and Am, as denoted by the colored boxes on the screen. You may see another colored box on the screen. You may be wondering what that is. Let me go ahead and tell you. The big amber one beside the driver's number tonight indicates that there is a mandatory pit stop in this race where they must take tires. That is the prerequisite to fulfill your mandatory pit stop this evening. There is no pit window, however. You can come in at any point during the 90-minute race. There is no driver change or anything like that. It's just a straight-up race, and of course you can claim, if you're from whatever class, that you can win a class, but as a one-off event, all these guys, and as you've seen by qualifying, will almost certainly be going for ultimate glory. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're talking about winning the glory, I think the glory that we can talk about in our warm-up lap is the liveries that we're going to see on the track, and how they mesh with the rain. I mean, like, that's a huge thing where you know, we don't have the shiny sun above us to really bring out certain colors. So the Chiesa in the mostly like solid black Lambo up front is just menacing with the overcast and the rain, I have to say. But it also just makes the blue on Conway just really pop. So it's interesting to kind of see those dynamics here. But yeah, from what we've seen from Chiesa, this could be a bit of a runaway with him already in pole position, and we've seen that before, and it might happen again. So here's to hoping for some competition before Chiesa just walks away with it.
Yeah, for sure. And just a quick reminder for the viewers here tonight, we will have live stewarding for this event. If I look over, just peek over my monitors, I can actually see the live steward box. I see Fabian Schwedberger oogling his eyes over the pink on Harry Conway and Billy Octane's Lamborghinis, and but he's got some stewarding work to do. And of course, you know, big shout out to our live stewards who, of course, have made themselves available for, you know, 2 hours tonight to go over all the incidents happening live and potentially post-race as well. So massive shout out to them because it adds to the quality of the racing so very much. And any penalties that they do dish out, we will inform you about live as they come around the final corner now in a 2x2 formation to start the Ferrari versus Lamborghini Misano Cup. It will be Davide Chiesa who leads them towards the line with Andreas Simon alongside him, and we are green for the Ferrari versus Lamborghini Cup. Harry Conway gets a decent start in third place on the back of Davide Chiesa, but it's going to be Andreas Simon who goes into turn 1 into the lead, and he does take the lead going through turns 2 and 3.
Absolutely blistering start by Simon in the Ferrari. He gets it done into turn 1, of course, had the preferred angle into turn 1, but as we all know, it isn't quite that simple. You still got to get a good start and stay side by side with the leader. That he did do. Very good start. Chiesa saw that he couldn't necessarily get in there. He just surrendered the position, and there we go. And now it becomes a story if that 162 Silver Cup Ferrari of Simon can get away here from David Chiesa, who was your fastest qualifier by nearly 2/10, but that is all to play for, and everybody streaming around this first lap. No real major incidents to speak of, but certainly there will be bumping and banging, and as Ryan mentioned to you earlier, if there are incidents, we will tell you all about them whenever the stewards tell us. It's certainly a sort of a gloomy day here, but the lights on the race car is very bright, and I gotta say that couldn't have been any better of a start for Simon there, Nick. And did you notice he was my pick to win the race?
I did, Jesse, and I'm sure you'll consistently remind me of that as he stays at top, but I have to say that he took that inside line through the first couple of corners there and just got some space between him and Chiesa. He's actually holding on to about half a second in front of Chiesa, and that has got to be intimidating. I mean, if Chiesa was probably here, I would say he's confident enough as a driver to say, hey, like, I have this in the bag, and to have to have Simon just underdog him like that, as Chiesa actually gets a little bit sideways coming through that corner. But Simon getting some space between everybody behind him, and he's got to just feel that burning target on the back of his head right now, right, Ryan?
Oh, for sure. And you know, just something I did notice is that beyond the Ferrari at the front, he's got a train of about 5 Lamborghinis behind him, so the menacing look of the Huracan cars as they come down the straight. And something I have noticed, not the greatest start ever for the likes of Billy Octane. He's maintained his position in 6th place. Killian Ryan Meenan, on the other hand, has made himself up into 5th. I think he started 7th or 8th. And Harry Conway is in 3rd as well, so he's had a good start. Obviously, Zeman having to take a bit of avoiding action after Davide Chiesa had a slight slip there, which has now meant that Simon's gap is 1.5 seconds, falling into the hands of the Ferrari. But with 1 hour and 27 minutes to go and a mandatory pit stop for everyone still to play with, anything can happen, especially in conditions like these.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better, Ryan. That is the MO today, is don't throw it away. 90 minutes. It's a bit longer than some of these drivers would normally race. I wouldn't quite call this an endurance race. 90 minutes is not really the end of the world or anything, but it is tricky conditions. And while it's not the most slippery of conditions, in fact, most of the way around here, you'll notice these cars not really even kicking up spray. It's, I would call this damp and unpleasant more than anything else, but that doesn't mean anything. The curbs, the grass, anything offline, as we see Killian go slightly off there, or excuse me, just not quite off, but he took the short way around the corner, we'll put it that way. It's like it's a little damp, so anything. And I was talking to Ryan, and Ryan, you might be able to elaborate on this a little more than I could, because I don't really drive the Lamborghini anymore, but You talked about the Lamborghini is the one that's on the back foot in these conditions. Is that not right?
It is definitely for sure. The Lamborghini does not like damp or wet conditions at all. It's something that very much works against this car. In the dry, it can be an absolute machine if you get the right setup, and obviously, you can tame the car as such, the raging bull that it is. But yeah, in the rain, it does seem to struggle. Although, having said that, we got 5 in the top 6, so, maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't think that's it. I just think that this field is incredibly talented. I mean, you look at all the Lamborghinis, all the pro placards, all the white backgrounds there denoting pro drivers. I just think it's really good, excellent class. But I got to ask you, Nick, one thing, and this is something I've been thinking about, and we have a Pro-Am driver leading this race now by 1.6 seconds over a fleet of Lamborghinis. As we look at Bushel right now, and the number 32 Ferrari, this is a pack of Ferraris. They're all fighting amongst themselves. But Nick, if you're a Pro-Am driver and you're leading a race and you're driving away and you have a bunch of pro drivers behind you, if you are one of those pro drivers, does that not hurt your confidence a little bit that you're getting beaten by a Pro-Am driver in a different car?
Well, I think it comes down to comfort and confidence in your own ability. I mean, if I'm Simon right now, and I'm at least speaking for myself, as we see, Bushel's going to go really inside there and is going to push Hortense off a little bit there. That was a bit of an aggressive maneuver. I'm sure the Stewards will be looking at that briefly. But oh my gosh, what were we talking about with that? That was an exciting little push from the 32.
I was just about to say, Nick, I don't blame you for losing your words right now, because I think between Hortense and Bushel, they've lost about 4 places in the space of a few corners there by just bickering, and they're still going at it, despite the fact that, 4 cars have got past them, and I think Bushel has finally managed to get past the 115 Ferrari, although it wasn't clean, that's for sure, so I get the feeling there will be a steward's inquiry into that, but we will keep you up to date if any decision is made.
Absolutely, and well, now that I did find my words after that exciting little moment, I have to say, if I'm Simon right now, I'm thinking that I have a huge target on the back of my head, and I just pissed off 5 or 6 pro drivers that are all in a different car than me. So I think that is going to be like, the Tom and Jerry effect, where now Simon's got to run away with it, as he's actually managed to put a lot of space between him and Chiesa, who's in second place still. And those pro drivers are also separating a bit, as they're not quite fighting for positions as much. We see Billy Octon in 5th place, trying to get some ground from Zeman in front of him as he overtook Killian at some point here. But yeah, I think that's what it's got to feel like. Simon is running for his life at this point, so if he's keeping pace out of fear, I have to respect that at least, but that is definitely making him a target right now.
I will have to admit, I hadn't even considered that the shoe may be on the other foot, but I actually, now that I think about it, Nick, I believe you're correct. I don't think the pro drivers are intimidated or sort of annoyed at the Pro-Am. I think the Pro-Am driver or drivers might be a little skittish around the pro drivers in this case. I can say the gap between first and second did go down as low as 1.3 seconds at one of the timing loops. It's now back up to 1.6 seconds, so a net nil result in that battle over the last lap and a half as our first penalty reports come in. Guys, who wants it?
Well, I can take it off your hands, Jesse. That is the 321. It's actually that really nice gold and blue car, the Kessel Racing car, that Nick pointed out earlier on. I think it was in practice of Dihan Cap, and unfortunately he collided with a car at turn 8 on the first lap, and that has awarded him a drive-through penalty. We don't actually have any information as to what car he collided with, but he was responsible for removing a car from the circuit, so he has been handed a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but realistically, about one or two incidents, all things considered, as we now see Cap serving his drive-through penalty. It's a incredibly lonely feeling. I know how he feels. I've gotten DTs myself, and there's nothing worse than coming down a pit road that is absolutely absent of any cars or pit crew workers, as there's a big incident here. Joe Barnes takes his Lamborghini the long way around the corner, turns it into a lawnmower, and that could have been really big if he would have gotten to the barrier there, but somehow saves it, and that car incredibly lucky to still be in this race. I was unaware it was Easter time with all the pastels on that thing. Oh no, and he's touched a car, he's touched a Ferrari. That's going to be the, was it the 101 Ferrari that he's had contact with of Soretti, and that's just been, this is going to be a lap to forget for the 111 Lamborghini. Do you think, gentlemen, that that was a product of the wet track or just a miscalculation on the driver's part?
I mean, I have to, watching that, I know that if you're knocked off track and you're, super focused on it, you're going to get frazzled a little bit. So maybe he went into the next turn and just miscalculated just a little bit. You're running so many numbers in your head while you're racing these cars that I can totally see that being possible when your wires are a little bit crossed in your brain after flying off the track there and just surviving on these in these slick conditions. So that must have been terrifying for him. But I did want to point out that was a respectable pause. He pulled over because he knew that he made a mistake and knocked the 101 off the track and waited for him. That is something that we definitely noticed in the steward's box, and something that is worth high praise from the RCI team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if he'd hit the 101 Ferrari and then just kept driving, he probably would be then liable for a drive-through penalty, hands down, slam dunk. The fact that he has kind of, held himself back, given back the position, said, yep, that was my bad, take it back, I'll try again in a much more reserved and respectable manner next time round, means that, he might still get a penalty, but it might only be something like a 5-second penalty or a 10-second penalty, because obviously the Ferrari did lose time. So his penalty might be lessened, or he might not get a penalty at all. It depends on how the stewards assess everything, and of course they have all the angles to view the incident from. So we'll await their decision on that. Killian Ryan Meenan did have a pretty decent start to the race. From 7th or 8th place, he worked up to 5th. Billy Octane did get past him whilst we were watching all the calamity with one of the Lamborghinis. Actually, no, it was the pack of Ferraris that we watched, all the chaos going on with them. Killian has been overtaken by Billy Octane, and now he's under pressure by Michel Rizzo. So Killian starting to struggle out here, and he's got the first of the pro Ferraris behind him now. And it's going to be interesting to see how he can fend off Rizzo. And actually something interesting I did notice, Jesse, all of our Pro-Am drivers are Ferraris.
Is that right? I hadn't put that. Yes, you're absolutely right. I'm just going over the entry list now, and you're absolutely right. That is well spotted, Ryan. That is incredible. What do you think the reason behind that? That had to have been just a random chance, right? There's no way that that we ended up with all Ferraris in Pro-Am. I guess it's just an incident. It's just one of those funny things, but it's actually quite fantastic. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm literally just going over the list, and every single silver or Pro-Am driver is in a Ferrari. He's absolutely right. Do you have any possible reason for that, Ryan, do you think?
Well, unless one of you or Mike Jones has been going around in the entry lists and having a bit of a play around for jokes. No, to be honest, I don't have too much of an explanation. I can probably give you an answer that is probably not the be-all end-all answer, but I can probably give you a reason as to why that's more likely the case. I would assume that it is that a lot of the drivers have seen the conditions here tonight. And obviously they've decided that it might be the best to go with the car that is better in the wet. at least, well, not better, but more comfortable to drive in the wet, and that is definitely the Ferrari. This is one of the most comfortable cars to drive in ACC, and in fact, it's one of the best beginner cars in ACC, alongside the Aston Martin V8. And I can only assume that that is probably one of the reasons why you probably see so many Lamborghinis in the pro field, is most likely because the guys that are filling in the Lamborghinis, you know, Killian, Billy, Octane, Harry Conway, and that, they're all kind of... They have their own kind of little group, should we say. You know, they get along well with each other, and you know, and they know each other. They've raced each other a lot, so you know, one of them's probably chosen a Lamborghini and said, "All right, look, you're all going to suffer in the Lamborghini with me." So that's probably why that's happened in the pro class, in the pro-am class, because obviously I would assume most of the pro-am drivers maybe don't have that kind of relationship. I can probably think that that is the reason why, as I can see Michelle Rizzo going up the inside of Killian towards the hairpin at the end of the back straight, but Killian is going to defend it really well. He's going to hold the inside line going through the penultimate corner. And as we come into the final corner now, he will hold onto it for another lap at least. But yeah, that's probably my explanation for you, Jesse.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I have that same thought, but I didn't know if that sounded silly actually or not. But no, I think you're absolutely right. I think that might have been it. I think they looked at the conditions. Of course, for folks at home, the drivers did know what the conditions were going to be. They were given a forecast. They knew what to expect, and you know, it is as advertised today. Do have some bad news for a couple of drivers out there for you, though. The number 72 given a 5-second added-on time penalty for minor contact, which took another car off the track. And as Nick mentioned earlier, they did note that the position was given back, and that's why it was only a 5 second. So you two, that's well said and well spotted. Also, the 111 was given a drive-through penalty for causing a collision, broke late and forced another car off track. Also note, in that incident, both cars lost a place. Of course, we don't have the number of the additional car involved. But that is the outcome of that incident that we saw unfold live. And nice to have some closure. I would say those are just penalties, Nick.
Yeah, I would say. I think the one we saw from 111, Joe Barnes here, you know, it was a bit of a aggressive maneuver, and you know, if it did cost some positions, that is something that our stewards will look at as a singular incident and look at the you know, surrounding driving around that. So obviously, with a drive-through in 20th position, that is going to cost them a little bit, but with the AM level drivers, I definitely say that that is not the end of the race for Joe Barnes. As was pointed out, he's putting on some solid times. He's actually dipping into the pits right now to serve that drive-through. And yeah, we'll continue to see racing from him. As we jump back to Simon, who Chiesa has closed the gap all of a sudden, and Chiesa's going to make the move for the inside, and this might be a pass right here. He's going to get
a touch and a spin!
And Chiesa's going to lose it. Oh my gosh, that's going to be a huge loss. That was a... Oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. That's a light contact. It's just enough to turn him around, parked on the road there. And that is going to be a huge blow to Chiesa. And how does Chiesa recover from that, Ryan?
Well, he's on the back foot, that is for sure. And looking at where he's going to drop back at the moment, I think we're looking more about 8th or 9th place. It is going to be 8th place that Davide Chiesa dropped back to. He did crawl up to the back of Simon, and he did go for the move down the inside. Of course, the camera angle we unfortunately had didn't really show the whole story, so we couldn't really get a great replay of it either. So it's going to be interesting to see how the stewards assess it. You know, if they think any driver is at fault. I don't think there was any driver at fault. Probably a racing incident, you know, judging from what I saw. But obviously, I'm not a race steward, and at the same time, I don't have all the camera angles. So it's going to be interesting to see what, you know, what they say. But if there's anyone who's going to have the ability to drag that beautiful stealth black Lamborghini up to the front of the grid again, it's going to be this man right here for Racing Line Motorsport. And I tell you what, if he can drag that car back up to second, or maybe even drag it up and take the first place, he's really going to be showing what he's worth here tonight.
Yeah, Ryan, I think you're absolutely right. David Chiesa is driving with a hot helmet now. A bit of a mistake, not on us to really call. That's why the stewards are there. I can't hazard a guess myself personally. And like Ryan said, they have all the camera angles we do not have. But you saw that wonderful replay. It was absolutely light contact. But guys, just a bit of reporting. Simon was hemorrhaging time. He was hemorrhaging anywhere between half a second to 3/4 a second a lap. He did that for several laps up until the point where we saw that Chiesa was right behind him. And then, of course, the contact in the left-hander there has set him all the way back. So, Ryan, to your point, if anybody can get up there and contend for this, considering I don't think the 222 Lamborghini is hurt at all, I think Chiesa can absolutely do it. But it's not the end of the battle for the lead as we follow Andreas Simon here. But look right behind him. You don't have to look very far to see Harry Conway in the number 78 Lamborghini sneaking up in the picture. I originally thought, guys, that maybe the 162 had an off or some sort of issue. Don't think he has an issue. I think his only issue really is that he's just struggling for pace. Do you guys know anything about the Lamborghini? Maybe it takes a while to warm up or something. I don't know. But certainly Lamborghinis have come alive. Either that or that Ferrari has died.
Well, sorry, I was just going to actually touch quickly on something that Nick mentioned earlier, that he said, you know, one of the big differences between the pro drivers and the pro-am drivers is probably going to be that consistency factor, that the pro drivers are just going to be so much more consistent, and I think that might be something that we're starting to see here. I think in general, the Lamborghinis, or the pro drivers more specifically, are starting to build up that consistency that, you know, maybe Andreas Simon hasn't built up yet, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, you know, it's totally possible. You know, we're only a little bit ways into this race with another hour and 8 left on the clock. Simon just had a really good start and just used that confidence to really push the car. But what we're seeing here, I believe, is the pro drivers in the Lamborghinis, with their consistency, know that they can keep pace over the long term versus the short term. And Simon might be slipping just a little bit from the pressure from behind. I mean, if I was him right now, I'd be a little shooken up from Chiesa getting spun out in that corner that as we saw on the broadcast. So that might be Simon losing a little bit of confidence, and he's just under fire from all those pro drivers behind him. Harry Conway possibly looking for a maneuver here sometime soon, and that is what is going to separate a pro from a pro-am driver in this stage of the race, is just how well you can handle that pressure from behind, because that pressure is not going to go away. Simon has painted that target on his back, and he can't just rely on trying to get some space between them anymore. I think he's going to keep losing that gap until a clean overtake is taken. The other thing I wanted to say is there might be a little bit of a confidence loss from Conway because he saw Chiesa get taken out. So now we have to think there might be a little bit of psychology going on here, where does he think it's safe to pass Simon? So, you know, that might be something else that Conway's thinking about right now. So if that is going to be an overtake, it's got to be something that Conway earns flat out, just from that bit of contact, because that's all they're going to be thinking about in this particular moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's going to be one of those things. You got to pick your moments, and for David Chiesa, it wasn't his moment. Just want to say one thing about that. We'll circle back to the incident fighting for the lead. Did you see what Chiesa did after the spin? And Nick pointed out that he was stalled in the middle of the track. He immediately pulled it off the track to the inside corner, got it going, rejoined in an incredibly safe manner after a difficult situation. especially considering he had to have been fuming at that moment. Just an incredible level head, and of course Guess is a pro driver, and he's he's certainly not new to the sort of thing that it's a racing deal, right? So he obviously knows he's going to have a chance to get back into this race, but such a cool, calm head, and just want to applaud him for the way that he rejoined the race, and he will continue to climb through the field here, I would suspect, as we continue to look out the back of Simon's Ferrari. This is the rear wing on the leader's car at the sea of Lamborghinis that are hunting him down. And as that comes, I just have a few things to talk about. The number 55 was given a 15-second time penalty for using his car's punt to pass feature, which is banned in RCI. And the number 32 car also given a 15-second time penalty for a dive bomb that took another car off. Both cars lost out in position, but a 15-second penalty given by the stewards. Nothing given, guys, at the moment for the spin that occurred fighting for the lead, and like Ryan alluded to earlier, I'm not sure we're going to see one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how everything develops. Something interesting I do have to ask you, Jesse, because I unfortunately can't see this information. You probably can. Do we have a weather report? Because at the moment, looking off the rear wing of Harry Conway at the moment to Le Bonnet Zeman, it seems to, at least from this perspective, look like it's cleared up a bit. Can you give me any more information on a potential weather report?
Well, Ryan, I absolutely can, and just want to remind the people at home, the first ever race I called with Ryan, he was the weatherman, and he taught me everything he knew, so now I'm going to stand out the back of the box and put my hand outside the door, and it's telling me it's raining now, and it doesn't look as dark like Ryan has alluded to, but I can tell you that the forecast is to continue this light to moderate rain, preferably light rain, for the duration. I can also tell you that it's 30 degrees track temperature, 24 ambient. There's no wind whatsoever here. The track is incredibly greasy, though. That's a bit of an update as well. I think you're seeing some of these cars slip and slide around, and in case you're wondering why that might be other than the weather, it is because the track is greasy. But no stop in the weather for the next 30 minutes, unfortunately, Ryan.
It's going to be interesting to see if that does eventually come to changes. We do actually have some back markers, and Harry Conway almost finding a back marker on the apex of a rather tight corner there. And I think Harry Conway, if he comes back and he watches the stream or looks through his replays, he's going to have quite the moment when he sees that. But yeah, so starting to catch up to some back markers, probably back markers that had some incidents or an early pit stop. Remember, there is a mandatory pit stop that all these drivers need to serve, and they have no pit window. They have to pit at least once, but they can pit whenever they want, and there are no requirements either, so they're allowed to do whatever they want with the car. Looking at Zeman here at the moment, in the number 21, he's in a sandwich of Miami Vice Lambos.
Yeah, he sure is. I noticed that on the grid, that the 78 and the 77, that's Conway and Octane, they're a team, and they have matching liveries and complementing numbers. I can say I've been in that situation, and I think a lot of us have, where we're surrounded by two friends or two teammates, and you're the odd man out. And the only comfort I think that he has is he's also in the Lamborghini, so he has the same thing. He's actually using the same basic livery template, just different sort of colors. But yeah, it's a very interesting situation that Zeman's in. But if there's one thing I know about Zeman, he's not really deterred or influenced by anything, as we're going to actually whip around here. This is Rizzo. This is for 7th place, number 74 Ferrari. It's actually attempting to be overtaken by David. No, David Chess is right behind him, actually, as they are continuing around here. I think that's actually Ryan or Killian Ryan Meenan, I believe, that they just overtook. Is that not correct?
Yes, it is. That was Killian Ryan Meenan, who unfortunately went wide on the back straight, or the back kinks rather, and that unfortunately meant that he did lose out to Davide Chiesa coming into the hairpin. So Davide Chiesa gets a free place off there, and Kylian Raikkonen is starting to drop further down the field, whereas his brother is doing the opposite. Cormac Raikkonen started a bit of a ways down. He's in 11th at the moment, so he's working his way up the grid. And he's got the benefit of that the two people in front of him have 15-second time penalties. So if he can stay within the range that he is right now, he will be ahead of them come the end of the race.
I mean,
oh man, yeah. One thing, Nick, I'm just gonna say, there's nothing worse than having to race somebody who has a time penalty, because they're still gonna race here. There's nothing worse than that. But you're absolutely right, Ryan. He's not really gonna have to race them, but he probably will want to get by them. Oh, it's such a desperate feeling. Sorry to cut you off, Nick.
No, all good. I just wanted to point out, I mean, as we've seen before, the Raikkonen brothers just attract to similar positions. I mean, this is what we're seeing. Kylian, I'm not going to say he's throwing the race for the sake of consistency, because that would be ridiculous, but I mean, look at what they've set up. We have two drivers separating them right now, the 32 and the 55, who both have time penalties somehow. Is that just an act of God at this point? I mean, like, that's just insane. So, you know, we'll continue to see how that unfolds, but I just wanted to point out how they always end up in very similar positions. They've proven to be excellent drivers, but how consistent they are with each other is a thing of mythical proportions.
It is, and I've just noticed that Zach Patterson has entered the pit lane. So the first of our pro cars, and it's one of the pro Ferraris, has come into the pit lane to serve his mandatory stop. You'll see him dropping down the timing board right now. He'll have a P next to the little sector mark on his name, as we see Davide Chiesa getting past some back markers. So Zach Patterson is going to get his mandatory pit stop out of the way. It's going to be interesting to see if he takes fuel or tyres. Probably just going to take fuel, I would imagine, because your tyres are not going to wear as fast on a wet track. So usually when you can get away with 75-minute races, you know, not having to take tyres. With a wet race or a damp race, you could probably get away with the whole 90 minutes in the Lamborghini.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. And the Ferrari doesn't have that advantage, Ryan?
The Ferrari is actually quite good on its tyres. It's probably one of the cars that you could take on 90 minutes fairly easily. But in these damp conditions, I would imagine the Ferrari can just as well do 90 minutes on one set of tyres as the Lamborghini, if need be. But it's going to be interesting, you know, not everyone goes for the same strategy. Some people will want to take tyres, and that fresh rubber can pay off. You know, you'll lose however many seconds it is. As I actually did see a Ferrari off at the hairpin in the background.
Yeah, absolutely so. It was a white and red one as well.
We'll see if we can catch up on that in just a moment. But, yeah, you know, everyone's got different strategies, and of course, that fresh rubber could pay off, you know, towards the end of the race, and maybe you will gain those 20-something seconds that it took to take the extra tyres. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But at the moment, Davide Chiesa just about under a second behind Rizzo, and I think he's kind of satisfied to just let Rizzo pull him along at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, Chiesa has gained 2 spots, and that's fantastic. And going back to that pass earlier on the number 23 Raikkonen car, that's why I could never be a pro driver right there, folks. You make one small bobble. It's not even an off track. It's not even like you went anywhere near off track. You miss the apex by, I don't know, about a meter, maybe a less, and then all of a sudden you get passed by 2 cars, and that's just, I can't, that would hurt my psyche. So that's why I could, that and the speed differential, those are the reasons why I could never be a pro driver. But Davide Chiesa is on the march back to the front in his 222 Lamborghini, 6th place at the moment, showing incredible pace in comparison to those racing. But I think Ryan is right on the money that he is allowing Rizzo just to sort of tow him along a bit. There's a bit of a gap between Rizzo and Octane, 7 seconds plus at the moment. And that could be something that we have to check in about 50 minutes to see where that comes down to. It certainly is coming down at the moment, or it was prior to that lap. Actually went out a tenth, but commentator's curse, speak of the devil. But yeah, this is the race that I expected to see. This is the race I wanted to see. I wanted to see three different skill groups of cars get at each other, and I wanted to see just how the different storylines unfold for those classes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I wanted to point out also that all the pro drivers seem to have pooled together between 2nd and 11th, with the outlier obviously being Simon at the top, who is still holding on to first place. Obviously, Conway is right on his tail. And has stayed there for as long as this battle has been going on. No maneuvers just yet. Again, I think he's probably waiting for a solid opportune time as we go to the front spoiler here. This is a just intense battle that's going to keep unfolding, because Simon is not going to give it up. Simon got a early lead, and I don't think he's going to want to sacrifice that for any reason. If he gets outpaced, so be it, but it's not going to be because he gives it up. And I think what's going to actually decide this is when we get to pit strategies and we see these drivers pulling into the pits. I think those different strategies are going to really stagger the field. I mean, really see how much of a fire is underneath Simon just from the pressure from Conway rubbing against him here. The drive to win is how much of that is motivated by just pressure alone. Conway's just not going to let up, and I think Chiesa is going to keep climbing up through that pro bracket as it's been solidly determined between 2nd and 11th there. And yeah, we'll keep seeing this unfold as the race continues.
Yeah, you absolutely certainly will. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the battle for the lead. This is Conway on Simon for the overall lead of this race. There is a trophy at the end of this for the overall winner. And, well, wouldn't it be nice if a Pro-Am driver could win that? David versus Goliath here. Can't tell you, Conway fell off to the tune of nearly a full second off the back of Simon the last previous 4 or so laps, but has closed right back up on him, though. He's going to go incredibly wide into that turn, and he may even lose second place here to Zeman. Zeman, the ultimate opportunist, gets the pass done and dusted, or is it done and dusted? Going back around the outside, Conway threatening to take him around the outside, can't quite get it done, looks for the inside of the final corner, sticks his nose in there. Does he have room? Yes, he does, but it's irrelevant anyway. Zeman has got that pass done for second place. All of this fighting has allowed Simon to carve out a 2-second advantage between these two cars pictured here. Now, the story has changed. Can Zeman get close to Simon to do anything, or will Conway get by Zeman? They all seem to be in a line. They still are in a line, but the order has changed, guys.
I think every time Simon sees a Lamborghini disappear off the back end, he looks in his mirror, he sees another Lamborghini in a different color. He thinks, "Oh my God, how many of you are there?"
It's a nightmare.
And it's like, yeah, it's like the nightmare that never goes away. And every time it comes back, it's got a different color and a different number on it, and a different mean-looking driver behind the helmet. And I think that's going to be the case for Simon today. Is that if he's going to hold on to this, he deserves it 100%. You know, he's a pro-am category driver. But considering the pace we've seen here today, probably more of a pro driver in future events, I would think. But yeah, he's definitely showing his worth here today, as there is backmarker now in the way of this little train of Lamborghinis, and I think Zeman's going to get caught up a bit, but Conway is going to go wide again. That's going to allow Billy Octane.
Oh, Billy Octane touches the lap car.
The lap car trying to go wide to maybe allow the two Lamborghinis through. I don't think he went wide enough. And unfortunately, that meant Billy Octane did have a slight collision with the lapped car. Of course, the stewards will look into that. They'll look into all incidents regarding cars fighting for position or cars that are blue flagged. So they will look into that, and if there is a penalty that needs handing out, it will be given. But I think that, to be honest, I think that was just incredibly unfortunate and just incredibly bad timing for the Ferrari that was trying to move out of the way, but maybe just didn't move over enough.
Yeah, well said, Ryan. I mean, I don't think, there's anything malicious there. Certainly the lap car did try to get out of the way. Perhaps, like you said, it just wasn't quite enough. Realistically, though, you have to take a look at the times, the delta on the screen, and did it change much? Not really. So I say, I agree with you, play on and just continue the race and continue the chase, focus back in. What do you say, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be some contact, but I don't think anything was truly too lost there, and it just might have just been a bit of a racing incident. But back to the topic of the hour, definitely Simon holding on to pole position for dear life at this point, with a pool of sharks behind him, with the Lamborghinis of various colors and liveries. I wanted to say, I think what we're going to see and what will take Simon out of that position is if the Lambos actually work together to some degree. Because you noticed, look how much time Simon gained as soon as they started infighting between the two Lambos, between Conway and Zeman. I mean, like, that cost them so much time, and that's what Simon's going to use as an opportunity to get ahead of them. Obviously, that gap is quickly closing again as we jump back over to Zeman. But I think that's going to be it. I think they have to decide to take Simon out if they want to get him out of the top spot. Because infighting is going to cost them so much time in these tight races, and Simon's proving that he has the pace to fight them off to some degree. Maybe just not quite. I mean, we're talking, tenths, maybe like a single tenth that he's maybe losing to them, but with 49 minutes left in the race, that is enough to cost you the race. So he's going to be looking for those opportunities to try to gain as much ground as he can.
I think that's a great point, Nick, and just a quick mention to people who've maybe been paying attention to the pylon on the side of the screen. You'll notice that both Cormac Ryan Meenan and Davide Chiesa have both come in for their mandatory pit stop, so they're going to get that out of the way. Davide Chiesa going to hope that he can start to close down the gap again. As like you said, Nick, it is time for the Lamborghini train to start to work together, but Billy Octane, I've raced against him in a couple of different series, and I know that he's not the type of man to sit behind someone for too long, so he's going to take every opportunity he can get to get past the likes of Zeman. But Zeman is starting to close down the gap. It was 2.1 seconds, now down to 1.5. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Raging Bull catches up to the Prancing Horse at the moment in the wet conditions at their home track.
Yeah, Ryan, you're not kidding about Billy Octane. Raced against him a few times. One time, memorably, at Spa. He was in a Lamborghini then. He flew by me so fast coming out of a corner onto a straightaway, I couldn't even see the number. Had I not had the HUD up on the screen, I would have never known, but it was Billy Octane. He was trending in the right direction, as they would say, and he had no time to mess with slow me, and he absolutely destroyed me from a pace level, and that was the day I realized, yeah, maybe wish my name was Octane, but that's neither here nor there. What is here or there is the back of this 162 Ferrari looking at the number 21 of Zeman. Zeman looking to go to the inside. He does a quick move. There's a touch there. That's another touch for the 162, but he gets by. And now we have a new leader of the race. The number 21 of Zeman is leading the race, but it's not over yet. The nightmare continues for Simon. Billy Octane, and the number 77 gets by him. And now, for laps and laps, 25 circuits to be exact, Simon has been out front of this field, and in one lap, in a half a lap, in 2 turns even, he's lost 2 spots, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is exactly the maneuver at the. Oh, we just. Saw
Oh,
someone
who's
turn-
that crashed?
That was a black Lambo. I really hope that's not Chiesa.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But we'll jump to that in just a moment. But yeah, we see everyone actually pull into the pits real quick. That was confirmed. That was Chiesa who turns around
Oh
again.
no.
Oh, this is.
Oh, and the Racing Line Motorsport car has returned to the pit lane. I get the
And
feeling that's not a great sign.
Oh no, that was looking like a mechanical error. I mean, like he came back around the corner and just spun it again. I can only imagine with someone like Chiesa, that's got to be something mechanical or something like that. He will actually retire from the race, jumping back to the pits there. That is going to be a huge loss for this race, as he was knocked off of the pole position with a strong finish and then is going to jump out of it with 45 minutes remaining. That is a huge loss, Jesse.
Yeah, guys, I dare say, based on the fact that where his car was and the attitude of his car slammed into the wall just prior to pit road, that may have been an incident with a car coming into pit road, and because that was halfway down a straightaway, guys. You're not going to lose it there. He had already committed it, or completed, I should say, his pit stop. So I will hazard the guess that was contact with the car coming into pit road, and will gladly take being wrong there. But as Nick pointed out, obviously trying to get the car back going the right way, certainly appeared to be some amount of damage done to the car. The car retired. The 222 no longer in this race. A race that started out with so much promise for the 222. Started out on pole by nearly 0.2 of a second. It hasn't gone his way, and they have retired. That's unfortunate to see, but we did just see a few moments ago a pass for the lead. This car, the number 21 Lamborghini of Zeman, making the move to the front, and now makes the move into pit road at the halfway point in this race, and that, of course, will trigger other people to come down pit road, like Rizzo and Matcha as well, all coming in to do their pit stop. Billy Octane and the number 77 has been in and out of pit road already, and he is good to go to the finish. And once your driver has made the pit stop, you'll notice the little amber number 1 turns green, meaning that they do not have to come back to pit road. They did have to do a mandatory tire change, or at least that's what was written in the rules. I don't know if so much was fluid today and changed. I don't know if that actually changed, but originally you were meant to have to do a tire change. You didn't have to do refueling, but you had to do a tire change to satisfy the mandatory stop. But unknown if that is still the case. Billy Octane here, he has... Well, it says he's actually in 5th place, and of course he would be, because there are a few cars that still haven't pitted. I'm sure that will continue to update. A lot to digest, Ryan. A lot going on in those few minutes.
Yeah, a lot has gone on in those few minutes, and more importantly, Billy Octane has come out right behind the car that he was behind when he came into the pit lane, and that is Lubomir Zeman. So, you know, just where he left off, he is right behind the lovely red, white and black Lamborghini. And something I have noticed, Simon has lost a lot of time in the pit lane. He's behind Conway and Rizzo now.
Ooh. That is not good. You don't want to see that. That's not what you want to have happen. Simon's day has gone from great to not so great to bad to worse. One way or another, that man is going to be having nightmares about Lamborghinis this evening. But this battle right here is absolutely on. This is Zeman versus Octane. This will be the battle for the lead. Isn't right now, but Pimlott hasn't come to pit road yet. So this will eventually be the battle for the overall lead and perhaps the win today. 2 Lamborghinis out front. The car in front of them is not necessarily of any consequence to them, but they will have to get around him.
I will actually tell you, Jesse, that is the lead car.
Oh dear, of course it is. That
is the 811 of Pimlott. That is in fact the lead car that does still have to do a pit stop. But of course, he is still fighting for position. He has every right to still fight for position.
Indeed.
you know, despite the fact that he has a mandatory pit stop to do. And as I say that, Zeman going really aggressive for the overtake, and he's going to get it done, and that's exactly what he needed to do. A bit squirmy on the exit, and Billy Octane's going to capitalise on that to also get past Pimlott as well, coming towards the hairpin. And that's going to mean that this is now, in effect, the battle for the lead. You know, there is no asterisk attached to it now to say, oh, well, there's a car in front that hasn't pitted. No. This is 1 and 2 as you see them on screen. The number 21 of Zeman versus the 77 of Billy Octane. It's Multi-21 Racing against the Miami Vice team. And with these beautiful liveries on display, I don't think you could get a better partnership of cars.
No, I certainly don't think you can. This battle not going anywhere between the two of these. Nick, are you a Billy Octane man or are you a Zeman man right now?
Well, I have to say I'm sticking with my early prediction that Billy Octane was going to put up a impressive race, and I think this is going to continue on. I would say, selfishly from the box, I always love a good battle for first place as they continue to pass up pace cars from behind the pack. But it's battles like these is why we watch racing. So I'm all here for this battle between Zeman and Octane, and I don't think this is going to let up either, as Simon has been in one way kind of removed from the equation, losing a lot of ground back there with Conway, with Octane and Zeman coming screaming out of the pits. Actually had excellent timing and were able to resume this fight for first place, as Zeman's actually going to get a little bit of space between him and Octane, which is probably what he wants. You know, I wouldn't want to be racing at this level for 40 minutes straight, as Octane's actually going to go super wide out of that corner. That's even more time lost. So that battle is actually going to quiet down quite a bit, as Octane might even be joining the likes of Conway and Simon a little bit. Yeah, it just seems to be grabbing just a little bit too much of the not tarmac, as I would like to say. Actually, we'll see an instant replay here, and just seems to go straight. I don't want to say that was a bug or something. That'd be bad. But like I just going straight. I mean, it might have been a bit of a pump fake from Zeman. What do you think?
I don't think there's a pump fake or anything. I mean, there may have been. I'm not in the car. But one thing for sure, for those of you that may not be aware, Ryan Gill's here. He's also doing commentating with us. As there's it looks like a Ferrari, I think, off into the dirt on the pit straight. But Ryan's not only commentating, he's doing the cameras as well. And one thing I was noticing with the excellent camera work that he was doing is these cars are still hitting the curbs. The track is classified as greasy, but that's not keeping any of these drivers off the curbs, because the fastest way around the track, as you will all know, is to hit the curbs as hard as you can and as legally as you can. And certainly there are some curbs where in the bumper cams and the tail cams that Ryan's been punching up for you guys, I've certainly noticed that some of them are kicking up some spray. So it's possible that maybe he was a little bit over on the curbing or something, and maybe just messed up his braking point. Maybe it was a pump fake. Don't really know. But either way, it lost him a lot of time. He was right on the back of him. And now he's about 2 seconds off the lead. Billy Octane will not be deterred. He will continue to race on, as so will Killian Ryan Meenan, who's thinking about taking the number 41's position away from him. Tough place to make a pass, but he gets it done, slots in like a puzzle piece, and that's well done by Killian Ryan Meenan, up into the 9th position now. Lovely pass, but he's got more work to do. That's capping the 3-2-1, who is still yet to pit, and that's for 8th position. He's going to get it either way, but he would like to get it quickly, Ryan.
Yeah, he will, and the reason he'll want to get it quickly is because if you look on the timing board, and you'll see, oh, look who's just ahead of Cap on the timing board, as Killian Ryan Meenan does make the move into the hairpin at the end of the back straight, or back straights rather. Really, really nice move there from Killian. you will actually notice that 7th and 6th have 15-second penalties, each of them respectively. What does this mean for Killian Ryan Meenan? Well, it means that if he's within 15 seconds of either or both of those drivers, he can gain a place come the end of the race. Now, Killian is currently 2 seconds behind Buchel, and Buchel is 2 tenths or 2.5 tenths behind, so you can actually see them on screen right there. So Killian Ryan Meenan is effectively running 6th at the moment. Obviously he'd like to get past them and try and close the gap to the likes of Rizzo in 5th place. But Killian wants to get a move on here, and he wants to stay on the back or get past these 2 cars in front ideally. But he is effectively running 6th at the moment, so not too bad so far for Killian. His brother Cormac down in 15th at the moment. I think Cormac is in a battle. In fact, no, he's just got past. I think he's just got past someone, in fact, for 14th place. He has Van der Wielen. He has just dispatched, who's the 53 AM Ferrari. So that moves Cormac up to 14th. And he's going to be making his way up the field. As we have big news, Jesse Lee, on the timing board, or the pylon rather, and I think you might have some news for us from race control.
Yeah, I sure do, Ryan, and I wish it was better, but it isn't. First of all, folks, we've had a plethora of warnings given out by the stewards. These are the cars that were given warnings for various infractions. The 76, the 13, the 67, the 12, the 23, the 69, and the the 23, the 12, the 67, the 13, and the 76 were all given their warnings, or given a warning by race control for one infraction or another. A lot of those were for using in-game chat or minor infractions. I can tell you that the 69 was given a 15-second time penalty for dive bombing and using his car's punt-to-pass feature into a corner. Can't do that in RCI. The 115 was given a 15-second penalty for basically the same thing, a dive bomb overtake that caused a collision and took out a car. And most recently, the number 77 was just given a 15-second time penalty for causing a collision, and that's big, Ryan.
It is, and that will be the collision that he caused with the back marker, the Ferrari that was trying to move out of the way. Maybe Billy Octane, judging from the steward's perspective, maybe he didn't, he didn't try hard enough to get past the Ferrari in a safe manner. So the stewards have judged it as such, and they have given a time penalty to Billy Octane. And something you might have noticed whilst Jesse was reading off all the warnings going, is that Billy Octane, very intelligently, let Harry Conway go through. Now, you would think to yourself, well, why would he do that? Well, the first reason is, he has a 15-second penalty, so it doesn't really make sense to fight for that position. You're going to lose it anyway, especially with someone like Harry Conway on the back of you. But remember, Harry Conway is his teammate. Whilst there is no team points for any of these races, or this race in particular, because this is just a one-off event, he understands that by letting Harry Conway through, he increases the chance for Conway and their team that they've kind of formed together to get a win here today. So, that's what he's done. He's let Harry Conway through, and Harry Conway will now start to close down Zeman. He's got 2.1 seconds and 33 minutes to do it.
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. I love the fact that you can show up here at RCI and you can bring a mate that's fast. You can qualify for a race. You can get in these races, and it can come down to interesting tactics at the end of it all. And kudos for Billy Octane for not throwing in the towel here. He's been given a penalty. He may or may not agree with that, but he's not thrown in the towel. He's let his teammate and friend by, and which, by the way, is closing in on Zeman. He's closed in about 2/10 in the last about half a lap or so, I would say. And I love this kind of thing. It's a very intense sort of battle. He actually closed down another 2/10. Nick, battle for the lead imminent here. Obviously, Billy not really going to do it at the moment. Now, have you picked Zeman or Conway? If you had to pick, which one would you take?
Jesse, I don't mean to interrupt slightly. My apologies, Nick, but we just had news coming through that Killian Ryan Meenan has got a 15-second time penalty as well for causing a collision. That's an incident we did not see on camera. So if you look down to
I've got worse news, Ryan.
Oh.
Yes, the number 21, the leader of the race, Zeman, given a 15-second penalty for causing a collision while overtaking for position. Ryan, sorry to cut you off. Make sense of all this for us.
Okay, so some of you might remember back to when Zeman put a move on Simon, who is all the way down in 4th at the moment. You might have remembered that overtake. It was a bit rough, you know. There was a bit of pushing and shoving in there, and the stewards have been looking at the incident, and they've finally come to a decision, and they've decided that Zeman was at fault for the incident. So he's been given a 15-second time penalty. Billy Octane's been given a 15-second time penalty for causing a collision with a back marker. It was a Ferrari trying to get out of the way. Buchel, the number 32 Ferrari, he's got a penalty for causing a collision with another Ferrari much earlier on in the race. Bart Matcha, we didn't actually see his incident. Killian Ryan Meenan has a penalty as well. We didn't see that one either. And Hortensi, all the way down in 13th, has also got a 15-second penalty. Wow, these 15-second penalties are starting to become a common occurrence at Misano today. So those are all the people with penalties at the moment. However, I have just received news from the stewards that Car 77's penalty for Billy Octane is under a re-review.
Oh, Jesus. I need some Tums. This is difficult out here.
It's entirely possible that Billy Octane, who moved over for Carrie Conway, could still have that 15-second penalty repealed.
Oh my gosh. Well, I asked you to make sense of it, but all it did was confuse me more. The timing sheet looking more like a Christmas tree.
And I do actually have some news on you on that fact for you, Jesse. You might have just seen it pop up at the bottom of the screen, but number 77 is going to have its penalty cleared.
Nick, save me.
So
Okay.
just to put it into perspective, Nick, for this conversation that you're going to have. The 78 and the 77, who are teammates, are now technically going to have to battle for the lead.
I mean, and that might be the ideal situation at this point. We saw Octane give up the position to Conway quite civilly as his teammate, but now with news of the 15-second penalty getting dropped, which is a huge thing out of our steward's box, I have to only imagine the papers and pencils flying around in the steward's box right now over this, leading into a penalty-heavy top 10. I mean, we're seeing we're seeing 5 15-second penalties in the top 10 currently, and that's crazy. So we are in the rain. There's 30 minutes left of this race, but it's starting to come down to who has not messed up yet. And I wanted to point out that our friend Andreas Simon, notice he doesn't have a 15-second flag on him. We could be seeing him sneak his way back onto the podium, as there's been this penalty flinging confusion happening in the top 3 right now, with Octane clearing his 15-second penalty for him. Obviously, that's going to make this more interesting, but with Zeman with the 15-second penalty, Conway and Octane fighting for first place, technically at the moment. There's going to be a lot of math, drawing lines between who's going to win and who's got to deal with what penalty, and how is that going to affect how they're fighting. I think at this point, the best thing to do is just keep putting rubber to the ground and fighting for time, and hope that those penalties shake out in a way that makes sense for our racers in the top 5 here.
And sorry to cut in, Jesse, but just to inform you, you can still see the 15-second penalty on Billy Octane's car. I have just dropped the stewards a message to see what is going on with that, and they said that they are in the process of getting it cleared. However, Billy Octane has received the message from the stewards that his penalty is cleared, so he knows it won't apply to him post-race. And, well, what's happened? Well, he's closed 1.1 seconds in the last 2 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. It's lit a fire in him. He was about a second or so behind his teammate, and look what has happened now. He is getting right back up on him. It has relit a fire in him, and just to make some more sense of it, there was a clerical error that led to the 77 being given a penalty. They caught that rather promptly, actually right after we announced it, and then there's a whole review process and everything. As Nick so eloquently put it, pencils and papers were flying. We can see into the steward's box from our commentary position, and I can assure you that was not an exaggeration. They did not want to give penalty to the wrong car, and that look what happened whenever he got word of the penalty being cleared. I can't imagine, by the way, being Billy Octane and hearing, oh, you're getting a 15-second penalty for contact, and you're sitting in there, what contact? I didn't do anything. I let everybody by me. What are you talking about? So that's an incredibly frustrating situation, but it's glad to know that they are on top of that, and for Billy, cooler heads here are prevailing, and it's game on. It's race on. It is a 3-way battle for this overall win. Zeman is not going to lay over for Conway. Octane is not going to lay over for Zeman here, or Conway isn't going to lay over for Octane. It's a 3-way battle in the simplest terms that I can give you. And if Zeman does make it the final 25 minutes to the line, guys, despite the fact that he has a penalty, if he can cross the line first, I'm sure he will claim moral victory here today, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with this many penalties, you have to be thinking, or these drivers have to be thinking that how much is that affecting their driving strategy? I mean, obviously, Octane lost some time as he thought he was out of the running, but now we saw very quickly, as soon as he was informed, his pace increased immediately, and that just goes to show what was kind of going through Octane's head. Where he was letting his teammate Conway through to fight for first position, but now Zeman also has the penalty. So, is that just them fighting each other, making sure that Zeman doesn't sneak away from them, as we've seen in previous races? Pole position without any pressure can just keep increasing that time, where 15 seconds would not matter with everyone's pace with only 24 minutes left. I don't believe that to be the case unless something major happens, but anything is possible, as we always like to say, with this amount of time left. And what has proven to be an extremely exciting race on all aspects, seeing just, minor contacts, obviously all these penalties. The steward's box has just got to be going crazy by now, and these drivers inside the cars, as everyone's gone and done their pit stop, obviously with the solid green line running down your timetable there, those strategies went into play and things shuffled around. I also wanted to point out that Simon has lost a solid amount of time, but then gained it back suddenly. He was quite a ways away from the top 3, and is holding on to some pace. So, I mean, we might see a sneak maneuver from Simon if he can find an opportunity. So, again, anything is possible.
Oh boy, what a crazy race. We still got 22 minutes and change to 15 p.m. in sim time. We are at Misano, and if you are just joining us, it will take some explaining. This is Lamborghini versus Ferrari here, this one-off event. This is Pro-Am, and Am all in one race, a big grid. We had 35 plus cars take the green flag on a light, rainy, dreary day around the racetrack, but the racing and the action has been anything but, and you may have noticed, if you're an eagle-eye viewer, that the 77 car Billy Octane has officially been cleared of wrongdoing from his penalty. It has not erased from the scoring pylon, but it has to be erased from memory because of a clerical error that was discovered immediately and dealt with. That is no longer the the case for the number 77. Your leader of the race, the number 21 Lamborghini, the pink car in front of shot here, is the leader of the race. They do have a 15-second penalty. Harry Conway doesn't have a penalty, and he is threatening for the lead. He's been closing down lap after lap. Billy Octane, who was in second place, was given a 15-second penalty earlier and then let his teammate in front of him, knowing that. But that penalty has since been cleared. That's brought him right back up into the fight. He was a second plus behind his teammate earlier, but because knowing that the penalty would not stand, he's closed back up, and it's anybody's guess who's going to win this race. My money's still on Simon because, well, it's a Ferrari, and I like Ferrari, and anything is possible. Ryan, I can't believe how crazy this race has been. Can we just have a lie down for a little while?
Well, we've got 21 minutes of the race to go, plus whatever we have after that in terms of an extra lap, Jesse. So unfortunately, your nap is going to have to wait. I do have a little bit of an explanation for some of this. I've just been having a conversation with Tom Roberts, although I do see Fabian Schmidberger shouting in German at all the stewards, incredibly frustrated. Fabian, you don't want to annoy Coach Fabs. That is definitely for sure. But he's trying to get everything sorted out, and as you can see, Stephen DeVos is also there. He's shaking his head. He's not too impressed either. But we're going to move on from all of that. I've had a conversation with Tom Roberts, and the penalty has officially been cleared from the system. However, it doesn't disappear from the ACC timing pylon. So you will see a 15-second penalty on Billy Octane's name, but keep in mind it has been cleared. It will not count in the final results file come the end of the race. So just something to keep in mind there that, if we ever talk about Billy Octane's position, we have to keep in mind that that timing pylon is incorrect. Everyone else's penalties are correct. Except for Billy Octane's. It's the only one that is incorrect, and we're not entirely sure if that's just an ACC bug or if it's something with the broadcasting UI, but it's something we just have to live with at the moment for the next 20 minutes of this race, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, that such is sim racing. Sometimes things happen, and Ryan, you're right to point out, just ignore that 15-second penalty on the number 77 Lamborghini. That doesn't exist. We are going to pull the covers over our heads and pretend that the monsters can't get us. But the penalty for Zeman is in fact real, but he is not going to give up the position. He doesn't really have to. He can still win this race, and who's to say what will happen here? Part of me wants to think here, guys, that Conway is actually just sort of riding around here, knowing that all he's got to do is stay within 15 seconds for 20 minutes, and he's going to get this W. But there's no way Billy Octane, who has had a penalty, it's been cleared, he's given up a position because of that. There's no way he's going to ride in third, right?
Well, there's actually something that's just come to my mind. Oh, as we see the 29 Lamborghini, one of the back markers going way off, and Zeman has actually moved over in all of that, and the 78 and 77 of Harry Conway and Billy Octane are going to go through. Well, Billy Octane's going to have to try and take the position.
It's going to get dicey.
He's going to have to try and take it by force, and I think he has taken it. And, just something quickly to note. Billy Octane and Harry Conway, as Zeman is going back for the position, he's not entirely finished. He's saying, well, you've got a 15-second time penalty according to my timing pylon, and this is what I was just about to get onto. Do Harry Conway and Zeman know that it's been cleared for Billy Octane if it's still showing on the timing board?
Well, if they were paying attention, and it's very possible that they were not, it would have showed up on their screen that a penalty was cleared, I think, for a car, because it shows up whenever a penalty is given, because race control shows up for everybody as far as I'm aware. I don't think you can actually turn race control off, even if you don't run HUD. So I think if they were eagle-eyed enough to see that, they would have, but I don't think they're listening to the broadcast, which is the only real way that they would know what exactly is happening. I think you might be onto something, Ryan. I think Zeman might believe that this is a straight-up fight between him and Octane. Meanwhile, Conway did manage to get out front, and he hasn't quite driven away at the moment, but we will continue to monitor that. Certainly Zeman driving a wedge between the two teammates. What a day it would be. I didn't even consider this until now, but what a day it could be for the Conway Octane buddies and teammates to finish 1-2 in this race.
Well, I mean, that's the that's the positions they will finish at the moment, considering the fact that Zeman's penalty is going to be applied and Billy Octane's is not. That is going to be the situation. Billy Octane is still theoretically second place, as he was before Harry Conway got past the likes of Zeman. The benefit that Harry Conway has in all of this is that he feels like he hasn't been given the win because the car ahead has a time penalty. No, he's got past that car, through a legitimate overtake on track and his own right, so now he is effectively leading the race, and Harry Conway in all of this is going to be thinking, oh, isn't life good? The two guys behind me have a penalty, assuming he doesn't know that Billy Octane's has been cleared. So he's probably thinking to himself right now, this could be a nice 15-minute drive to the end of the race. Except he's in a Lamborghini and he's also in the rain. It's never a comfy drive to the end.
You always have to point out the bad side of everything. I want to point out the happy things. We got Lamborghini racing live here on RCI. It's a nice, drizzly, damp day. We are in Italy at Misano, and it's just a lovely sort of atmosphere. We've been treated to a lovely race. I just want to talk 1 minute about David Kisa right quick. I theorize that the cause of his incident was somebody trying to get to pit road. Turns out that's not entirely true. He's in chat right now. Hi, David, by the way. He says that he got lapped by a guy who slowed at the exit of the last turn that was attempting to let him pass. But he kept the racing line and didn't imagine he stopped pushing the throttle. So there was contact between the two of them that caused an incident, and then 35 seconds of repairs, and that would have taken him out of the race anyway. So that is unfortunate, but do thank him for explaining that to us in chat so we can share that with you as well. And we will definitely, Mr. Kisa, we will see you back next time in fine form as well, I am sure.
Yeah, we definitely will. We'll see Davide back at some point, I'm sure. Of course, all the Racing Line Motorsport guys, they usually love to come and race in some of the events that we host, and I did see Stefano Canapi say that they are going to be going on a little bit of a break at some point over the summer, which is fair enough, with a lot of countries relaxing the lockdown and stuff like that, so he's... everyone's going on holiday for a bit, and of course a lot of people are going to be going back to work fairly soon as well, so the racing has to take a tiny bit of a back foot for a lot of people, but I'm sure we'll see the Racing Line Motorsport guys back in these races and going strong very, very soon. 45 laps run so far. We have 13.5 minutes left of the race. Harry Conway leads so far, and he has Zeman and Octane behind him, with Zeman currently holding a 15-second time penalty and Billy Octane not holding a 15-second time penalty, despite the fact that it still shows on the timing board. And this effectively means that Rizzo sits in 4th place. So despite all the confusion, Nick, what have you made of the race so far?
Well, I mean, while you guys have been talking, I've been just trying to watch this race, and I have to say, I think our theories are pretty solid so far about what could be going on between these racers. We saw Conway take a solid pass, obviously still under pressure from Zeman. That race is not over until the checker flag drops, but I think Conway is feeling confident, and I think he saw an opportunity where on his timing board, he's seeing penalties. So he's going to take first place and say, well, this is mine now. And, there's not going to be much competition for it. Even if I have to fight for it a little bit, it's not real competition. So you have to wonder how much of that is affecting Conway's psyche as we go into the last little leg of this race with 12 minutes left. With Octane in the back, he knows he doesn't have his penalty. He's still fighting for those positions. I mean, we're seeing all three of them are still holding it tight, and I don't think any of them are, at their level of driving in the pro bracket. I don't think any of them are just going to give it up. They're going to keep racing until the end. Because no matter what, these are just time penalties, and they still want to get as high of a position as possible, even if it's not first. You want to finish as high as possible. So I don't think we're going to see them give up. And with Octane knowing that his penalty is cleared, he's going to use that to keep up the pressure. We saw his pace increase almost immediately as soon as he knew, and I think this is going to be a race around the podium until the very end, because as they've separated a bit from Rizzo in fourth place, I would say with a currently a 10-second gap between third and fourth, I would say that podium is just going to be kind of swapping hands here. And those penalties are going to knock Zeman down considerably. So Rizzo might be able to sneak onto the podium out of a technicality, which is maybe not the way that you want to get on the podium. But, if it was me, I would take the podium regardless and just know that, we're running a tight ship around here. We want it to be as fair as possible of a race. And I think that's going to lead to a just very exciting development for Rizzo out of just sheer luck at this point. As we get into the last few minutes, I think it's going to stay consistent to what we're seeing right now. I don't think anything's going to let up.
I think an interesting point you just made there is the fact that, considering Zeman's time penalty at the moment, Rizzo is effectively running third place, so he will be on the podium come the checkered flag if he can stay within the time frame that he is to Zeman's car right now. As in fact, I've seen on the timing pylon that Billy Conway has got past Zeman. Zeman's not going to let it go, though. As we come down towards the hairpin, he's going to want to take that place back, but doesn't look like he's got the inside line to do it, and Billy Octane is going to have second place locked down for sure this time. Not going to be depending on that 15-second time penalty, and now he's going to try and close down his teammate for the lead. But quickly on the likes of Michelle Rizzo and Andrea Simon, they technically, they kind of do know it, that they're both fighting for a podium here, because as far as they're both aware, two of the guys up front have a penalty, so they would both be on the podium. The reality of the situation is they are fighting for third place.
Yeah, they certainly are, and here's the thing. Simon has been right up the back bumper of Rizzo a few times here. Simon certainly appears to be the aggressor in the situation, and certainly appears to have the faster Ferrari at the moment. So you talk about Rizzo potentially getting that third place. It's this excellent bumper cam here provided by Mr. Ryan Gill, which really shows you this is in the grill below the Ferrari sort of logo area. It's you see the splitter there in the top part of the body work. This is looking forward at Rizzo, which this will be the de facto battle for third position. And Rizzo has just been kind of calmly not making any mistakes, but Simon is looming large in this instance. Can also tell you that Billy Octane is not going to settle for second place here today, guys. He's closed up several tenths on his teammate Conway for the lead. This with 8 minutes to go, all to play for all of the podium positions here today. And if you've just joined us, Billy Octane second place with a 15-second penalty. That is incorrect. The graphic did not update. That penalty was cleared, and the first two are playing on level pegging right now. Zeman and everybody else in the field has accurate penalties, but we continue with the battle here. This camera wedged in Simon's grill of his Ferrari Ferrari. Looking at the back of Rizzo's Ferrari, this is going to heat up incredibly for the final few minutes here. No shortage of action around the track, no shortage of penalties being given out. In fact, I have two more for you as well. I'll wait 1 second here. Things heat up, getting into the hard corners there. A mistake by both drivers nets no profit for either. But just a quick update of penalties. Yes, looks like the 808 was given a 15-second time penalty for braking on the racing line after the apex of a corner. I assume the 808, we've seen him a few times. He's had issues today, and he was getting out of the way of other drivers. What I assume happened there was that's exactly what he was doing, but he did it in an aggressive manner. He was given a 15-second penalty for being too nice. And the number 9 car was given a 5-second penalty for using his car's punt to pass feature. That is outlawed in RCI competition. And that covers you with penalties, but no real penalties between these two. Just a straight-up fight for what we assume is a podium, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like I said, I think the racing is not going to let up at all based on those facts. As Simon actually goes a little bit sideways as he went for a maneuver, lost so much time right there as we're getting to some back markers, providing some traffic. And that might have shook him up just a little bit, and that's the kind of thing that we're going to expect seeing in the last 6 minutes of this race. Jumping back up to Billy Octane in currently second place, fighting his way up to Conway, who has slowly but surely been trying to sneak away with the pole position finish. And that's going to be ideal for Conway, honestly, at this point. You know, with whatever chaos is going on with the penalties, you know, Conway's just going to sneak away with first place. And yeah, that's going to be ideal for Conway, even if Octane is his teammate. If, you know, as was mentioned, this is kind of the ideal situation for the Triple R team, where they're both fighting for first position and on the podium, but the podium could shake up in surprising ways with the way that these penalties are currently set up, or even how Rizzo and Simon are still fighting. It could be either of them sneaking onto the third place of the podium, and I think that is something that's not going to let up at all.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely crazy as we are into the last 5 minutes of the race. A 90-minute race here tonight at Misano in the Lamborghini versus Ferrari Cup. It has been an incredible 85 minutes of racing so far. We've had it all today, haven't we, guys? We've had incredible overtakes. We've had rain. We've had drama. We've had penalties. We've had stewarding drama. We've had everything you need to qualify for an amazing race. And I get the feeling that if any of these drivers watch this race back tonight, if they watch back the broadcast, they are going to be just as, you know, speechless as some of, we have been tonight. And, you have to get up pretty early in the morning to leave, Jesse Lee or myself speechless. And this race has done it here today. So, to be honest, this has been absolutely incredible. Just under 4 minutes left, 1.3 seconds between the leaders. Harry Conway managing this gap really well at the moment. And beyond any mistakes, I think Harry Conway probably has this sealed. But 4 minutes to go, anything can happen, Jesse.
Nope, incorrect. Harry Conway is going to botch this race. Billy Octane's going to win, and Simon is going to take second place. I'm calling it right now. That's just the kind of race it's been, folks. It sounds crazy, and you couldn't write this stuff, and if you pitched this race as a movie, it would get rejected because it wasn't believable. It's been absolutely intense from the drop of the green flag, and it will certainly be that way to the drop of the checkered flag. And it's just unfortunate that Billy Octane just losing a little bit. We saw him in traffic earlier. He lost a little bit of his, I guess you could say, pace there. Before that, it was right up behind his teammates and just never really recovered. Of course, they are in lap traffic most of the way around now. It's just that part of racing, I am afraid. Got a few other penalties coming in. 1 second. Yes, looks like the 41 was given a 15-second penalty for braking late in the corner and pushing her car off track. Man, to use an analogy for this race, folks, when it rains, it pours, and it certainly has been that kind of day. To echo what Ryan said earlier, it looks like Lamborghini is going to bring it home today in one form or another. Most of the battles for the top positions have cooled off, though it must be said Billy Octane's brought it down within a second here thus far. Pictured on your screen, these are teammates matching liveries, complementing numbers, and this is the battle for the win as it's closed up by about a second here, folks. This is not over. Might get 2 more laps out of this race. I'm going to go pop the popcorn.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get 2 more laps out of this race, Jesse, that is for sure. And Harry Conway has now got to live with the fact that his teammate is right up behind him. Now, we don't entirely know if Harry Conway is aware that Billy Octane's penalty is theoretically cleared from the results, even if it does show on the timing pylon. But I would assume that Harry Conway wants to finish ahead of him on track, and Billy Octane flashing the lights. He said, you know what, you might be my teammate, but I'm still going to do my best to tell you that I'm here, I want the place, I want the win outright. And I have to say, if Billy Octane, if within the next lap and a half he can manage to claw a win out of this, you've got to say this dude deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's been a battle for him, you know, with the shock of the penalty. That's got to shake you up a little bit, but that is not going to deter him going into the final lap here. And I think this is going to be a battle to the very last second, and that's exactly what we like to see in the comms box. I'm sure it's what our viewers like to see at home as well. That this battle isn't going to let up. Conway has not stuck away with it just yet, and even with we're coming close to 0 on the timing board, there will be another lap here, and we'll see if we get a last-second Kodak moment, if you will.
Look at him.
Billy Octane still flashing Conway ahead of him, saying that I am ready to rumble, and this race is not over, and I don't want you to think that this race is over, because it ain't.
Keep an eye on the timing pylon as well. Simon in 5th place is 6/10 of a second behind Rizzo. The battle for effectively 3rd place on the podium is not finished either. The 2 Ferraris are going to go head-to-head on the final lap, just the way the is said for the 2 Lamborghinis. 4.5 tenths between them. You can't call this off. Billy Octane going very wide, but he is going to keep the car on the track. And now he's going to come up towards the hairpin. He's going to look for a way past Harry Conway. Harry Conway's not going to want to let him past, even if he assumes he has a penalty. He's going to want to stay ahead. He's going to want to do it on merit and on track. Simon just under 4 tenths behind Rizzo at the moment. No idea where to look for this one, ladies and gentlemen. But keep your eyes peeled onto the timing boards as we come onto the back straight for the final time. There is a lot of traffic, it has to be said. Are they going to move over, or is Harry Conway going to get caught in this traffic?
Yeah, I think he absolutely will. This is how you can lose a race easily. Look at them side by side. Lap traffic everywhere. Cars going off the track. A final few corners. You don't want to get stuck behind a lapper. Nose to tail. The first 2 cars. Team cars. Billy Octane thinking about doing it. Thinking about going around the outside. Maybe a bit of a touch. Nothing too crazy there. Still nose to tail. He's going to lurch into the final corner. Yes, he will. He will lurch into the final corner. They're going to be side by side. It's going to be a drag race between teammates to the line. I think Octane might have lifted there, and they get the photo that they've always wanted. Send that to Grandma. What a great sort of thing. And Harry Conway goes tail end first into the gravel, and it is a 1-2 for the team of Conway and Octane. And it looks like Simon did get a penalty of 5 seconds for contact with a car late. Timing and scoring is incorrect. The actual order is going to be Harry Conway winning the race in the 78 Lamborghini. 2nd place is going to be Billy Octane in the 77. And in 3rd place, we've got Rizzo in the 74 Ferrari. And that is your official top 3. Never mind the scoring errors on the pylon. Wow, what a race.
I was just about to say, Jesse, if you look at Billy Octane's time on timing pylon, you will actually see a negative 13.5 on his split time. If you take that 13.5, you will find out that that does equate to second place. So he is officially going to be second place in the results. You can see Killian Raiminen's got a negative 1.9. That means he's gained a couple of places as well from some time penalties of the likes of Matcha, I think, as well. So a couple of people getting out at the end, but wow, what a finish to that race. The perfect photo finish that Jesse said that you'd want to have as teammates. Harry Conway, Billy Octane taking a 1-2 for Triple R Racing, and they could not have asked for anything more tonight, Nick.
Absolutely, and that's the finish that we wanted as viewers in the comms box and for our viewers at home. That is the kind of excitement that you want all the way to the end of the race. Obviously, Conway with the pole position with a very close Octane behind him. That is ideal for that team, and that is something that we'll see in future races as well, I would assume. And just proving their worth, their speed, their consistency. They can fight and be fair and put on an exciting race and get that classic photo at the end straight, going over the finish line. And I mean, as we've all seen at one way or another, we're all a little bit out of breath commentating this race, as it was a ups and down, topsy-turvy kind of race. The rain proved to be a menace, to not be messed with. We saw a mix of cars at the top podium. It was not a blowout for the Lamborghinis, as the Ferrari snuck onto third place there at the end, proving that this rivalry will never die, and we will see that in future races as well.
Yeah, indeed. And I just want to add one quick thing. If you are one of the 20 other drivers that we did not get around to talking about today, I apologize. It's just that there was so much going on and so much to keep track of. It was hard to do a rundown through the field, and I think my fellow broadcasters and commentators would agree with me in saying that it was just a crazy race, and we do appreciate your participation as well. There were quite a few drivers today, it must be said, that were making their race debut, and most of them, according to my notes, stayed out of trouble. So that was fantastic for those drivers. And guys, to sum it up, it was a day of first. It was our first race, Ferrari versus Lamborghini. It was a wet race. It was crazy. I think that's the record, RCI record, for the most lead changes that we've ever had in a race. And it was the first time I ever saw the smoke come out of the steward's ears. That was an incredible race.
Yeah, it was. That was really something special, Jesse. I think probably one of the best races, or probably the best race I have ever had the pleasure of casting on. And I hope that going forward we can cast on a lot more races like this. But thank you everyone for joining us here tonight. Your support is greatly appreciated. We would not be able to broadcast these races without the desire from the people at home. We hope that for the last 2 hours we have entertained you, or the drivers more likely have entertained you, and we've done our best as commentators to bring you all the action in radio form if you haven't been able to watch the race, or just complimenting to the incredible scenes that we have seen on track. We will be back on Monday, 22nd of June, for the Porsche Cup Pro Split. We're going to actually be at Laguna Seca, Nick and Jesse's home circuit, and Nick is actually going to be joining me for that one, and we should have Thomas Crabb, our social media manager and commentator, joining us as well for that one. We also have our Friday Championships starting in July, starting on July 3rd, so keep an eye out for that. And of course we have our first ever endurance race coming in August. Sign-ups for that are going to be opening very, very soon. It's going to be a 6 hours of Barcelona race, but it's going to have a bit of a twist to it. I'm not going to say too much because nobody knows yet, apart from the staff, of course, that have been planning it. But there's going to be a bit of a twist to that 6 hour of Barcelona race. It's going to be quite special indeed, so look forward to that. but from myself tonight, from Jesse, from Nick, from the stewarding team, who we have to say a massive shout out today for all the work that they've put in and the panic that we saw in that room as well. Massive thank you to the work that they put on, the admins for putting this event together, and of course massive thanks for Jesse and Nick for joining me here tonight. We will be back on Monday for Porsche Cup, and I hope the rest of you lovely people have a wonderful rest of your evening and weekend.